So the owner of this Lexus ES300h 2019 drove over 500 miles to our shop to replace this battery that apparently the dealership couldn't. Story's a lot longer than that, but let's talk about it because this is an interesting one. So a while back, we had an LS460 that also drove that. Actually, that one drove a little bit further from Pennsylvania. This car is from Pennsylvania to replace a bulb that the dealership couldn't. This one now we upgraded to a battery, not a bulb. What's going on in Pennsylvania, Lexus dealerships? Let's start with the video. We'll talk about it because this is... So the question you might be asking, couldn't the dealership just replace the battery? Well, let's talk about it because it's not directly a battery replacement. This car, for the past 6-7 months, give or take, has no heat and has no control over the HVAC unit at all. So when the owner had this, and they've owned this car for a while, of course the HVAC works perfectly fine, it only has 62,000 miles, took it to a dealership. First they told him, nothing wrong with the car. Okay, next day, you can't control the HVAC, nothing happens. You change the thing, nothing. It's just air blowing and whatever you had it, you had it. You can't change the temperature. Took it back again. They spent $1,300 to replace a servo motor behind the dash. Okay, great. Although, talk about that in a second, but change the servo motor. Great, car is fixed. Customer picks up the car is not fixed. Takes it right back to the shop. Hey, to the dealership. Lexus dealership. Hey, this is not fixed. So what's going on here? They spent some time with the car and then they told them, well, now it needs $3,800 of stuff to fix it. We have to pull the entire dash and replace the whole HVAC unit because that's what needs to happen. That's when the customer was like, wait a second. I just spent $1,300, didn't fix the problem. Now you want me to spend $3,800. Now we're into serious money here. How come my 62,000 mile, 6-year-old car needs this much just to get the AC working? Do you guys even know what you are doing? That's the number one question that he wanted to ask. And that's when he got curious, started research, found our shop, and you know what? We did nothing special. That's the best part. They told me, when they asked for the estimate, hey, this is a dealership quote. How much would you charge us to do this job? Okay. What they quoted him was a servo motor, the one that sits between the blower case and the HVAC unit. Hard, you have to pull the whole dash, pull the unit out, split it, get the servo, replace it. So I quoted them that job, perfectly fine. Get the car here. I always, when I get jobs like that I did not diagnose, I always like to look into them a little bit. And I told the customer from the get-go, hey, I am not getting into a job like this without verifying what we are getting ourselves into. I don't want to do all this and then find out, oh, wait, there's something else. Now you can kind of tell why the battery got replaced. So get the car in. Here's the problem. The owner of the car could not drive all the way from Pennsylvania because they had prior commitment, work, whatnot. So his retired father drove over 500 miles to come to the appointment to our shop, stayed in a hotel for 2 nights while we do this job. That was the original intent. This is around the holiday times and things are on overdrive because we are closed from Christmas all the way to the 5th of January, and I can't keep the car that long, and plus they are in a hotel. It's not like they drove it here and flew back home or something that's usually what folks do from out of state. I'm under pressure. We got to get this done right away. They drop off the car around the afternoon. Later in the day, I got a chance. I get in it, started, HVAC, nothing. Just absolute darkness, nothing. Okay, that's interesting. By the time we got into the car, all of a sudden it started working. So I pulled some panels underneath. I'm looking at the servos, they're all working. And all of a sudden, everything started shutting off in the car. Like Lights, the servo stopped working, the panel went out, then the gauge started flickering, then the car just went completely dead. Huh. Well, that's strange. We go look at the voltage of the battery. Well, it was 9 volts. We charge it. Not happening. It starts taking a charge. As soon as you turn the key on, it drops to 9 volts immediately and the charger goes haywire. Huh. Well, this is the original battery from 2019, 6-year-old battery. I figured, well, we need a battery, obviously, but we need to also look into our problem. So we have a smart charger that checks batteries as it's charging them to make sure we don't overcharge them, undercharge them. I hook it up to this. It does not want to charge it, saying the battery is just not responding and all kinds of weird stuff. So I got the old school charger that doesn't care if there's nothing connected to it. It's just going to blast it with 14 volts. Connected here. Now the car is getting 14 volts, which, by the way, that is completely safe for 12 volt systems, because that's when you start the car. That's what you're actually getting. I connect it. I'm like, okay, we'll get a battery. It's not a problem. Let's just figure out our problem. Connect the charger. Everything works. Huh. Well, there is nothing to diagnose. Everything works perfectly fine. Mode changes, temperature changes, everything works perfectly fine. Great. Well, now what? The customer's father is waiting in a hotel room, and I don't know what's going on with the car because everything works. Can't diagnose something that's not broken. I call the customer. Hey, is this a problem that is like intermittent? Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. He's like, no, this is consistent. I have no heat. This winter we've had no heat because nothing works. Okay, maybe in the drive something changed. He's like, oh no, my dad drove this car for 500 miles with the AC on. He had to turn off all the vents, turn on the seat heater on full blast because he drove 500 miles with no heat. Just AC stuck on. Okay. We go drive the car. Everything works perfectly fine. Heat changes, everything works. I call the customer. Initially, I was verifying with him, hey, it's consistent, right? Then I told him, well, right now everything is working perfectly fine. He's like, what? It has not worked in months. He's like, in the summer it was not a big problem because it's actually stuck on cold air. But now it's a big problem. I can't even drive the car because you'll freeze because the AC is stuck on. You can't change anything. So what's going on with this car? That's all it is, folks. Here's the thing with these new cars. Computers. Very interesting. And this is being a hybrid is especially interesting. See, the batteries for hybrids, they're not heavy-duty batteries. They're actually very light-duty batteries because unlike a normal gasoline car, where this battery has to deal with a giant starter that draws so many amps out of it, hybrids never have to do that. All this battery does, when you hit unlock on your remote, it'll flash the lights will come on, you get in the car, press the start button, it'll power up a computer that'll power up the battery, couple relays, and that's it. Goes back to charging. That's all it does. There's no heavy load on these batteries. That's why usually with hybrids, the 12-volt battery lasts a very long time. But it is a special battery. And here's what's special about it. It's a regular lead-acid battery, nothing about it. Because most hybrids have the battery inside the car, this is a vent sealed with a side vent because you don't want any fumes from this battery going in the cabin. So this vents outside the car. That's the only thing that is, and it's a sealed battery. That's the only thing about it that is different. Otherwise, it's a regular car battery. When you start hybrids, here's the weird part. So many hybrids out there that you drive, battery's almost dead. But you can start this hybrid system on 9 volts. That's the weird part. The battery could be even 8 volts sometimes, and the system will start power up and turn on the car. As long as it has enough power to turn on the computer and power 2 relays on, you could run on it for years with 8, 9 volts. That's a weird part. Except in this particular car, something called AC amplifier, which is the computer for the HVAC system, did not like that anymore. So this car has had a bad battery for a long time. Every time you start it, that super low voltage actually causes that computer to go in either a shutdown mode where things were not on, or it goes into this haywire mode where it just freezes, doesn't do anything, and whatever setting you are at in the HVAC control, it just gets stuck in it, and there's that. You can't change anything. Because the only thing we did to get everything working was technically jump start the car. Now when you started, when that computer powered on, it powered on with normal voltage. Now everything works perfectly fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the car. Now, here's my question, and I'll be honest with you. We were initially tracking after the dealership did. Are the servos working? Is everything anything broken? Anything stuck? That's usual diagnosis. So I pulled all the bottom panels to look at the servos and look at everything. And here's something, thank you Lexus for that, very ridiculous design. On this car, you only have 3 servos. You have 2 mode ones for some reason, and then you have one for the rear, but you don't have a servo for the temperature for the passenger and driver. No, that's built into the HVAC box. You cannot replace it separate. It's this big long arm that goes up and down in some ridiculous fashion that I don't even know why they did it that way. So if your temperature servo goes out, you have to replace the whole HVAC box. And I'm assuming that's what the dealership is initially onto, although our estimate was nowhere near, didn't mention anything about the HVAC box. I think they were also on a fishing expedition. That's all this car needed. So I called the customer. I was actually pretty late. I felt bad because there was a time difference. I called the customer. I'm like, listen, here's what we have. I think this car needs a battery. He starts laughing, full voice. He's like, what do you mean it needs a battery? I'm like, here's the working theory right now. We have not verified this. I think this battery is so weak that every time you start it, especially when you leave it sit overnight, you start the car, it's barely powering on the hybrid system, and it's throwing off this computer and it's not powering on, and that's why you have this problem. He's like, that's when he went a little silent for a moment. He's like, you know what? A few months back, he's like, we put tires and I took it for an alignment, and the place that did the alignment and the tires told me the car went dead within minutes of them getting it on alignment, leaving the door open until they set things up. It went dead within, completely dead, nothing, not even a light on, within minutes. And then he proceeds to tell me that after that, they jump-started the car. He took it straight to the dealership. They tested the battery, and they told him the battery is good. That same dealership, by the way. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to tell you one thing. If you have one of these batteries in a hybrid, it's 5-6 years old, change it. I know some of them can be very expensive, but luckily this one is not. It's a regular price. But don't wait for it to strand you. That's the first thing. Second thing, don't wait for it to do weird gremlins like this, because it's gonna happen. That's the strange thing with hybrids, folks. You can start these things on 9 volts. But then if you leave your door open for 5 minutes, thing will be completely dead. And that's your typical telltale sign. If you see that, just replace the battery. These batteries, once you deplete them completely like that, they'll never recover. So, unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, fortunately is that we don't have to do anything major, or we're charging them with some diagnostic time and a battery. Unfortunately, they had to drive 500 miles for that to happen. God bless the dealership that did this, and you know what? I'm short of calling the owner of the LS460 and seeing if that's the same one of the dealerships that attempted, but it's around the same area. So I hope it's not the same dealership, because that would be really bad. But Folks, when it comes to diagnosis, you can't throw parts at it. So, see, this is the dealership throwing parts. That's like the worst thing, because you are charging the customer a premium and you're throwing parts at the car. That is the worst thing. But you know what? Nobody's perfect. Okay, you threw the first part at it, didn't fix the problem. Don't say it's fixed and send it out the door. And I think I have an idea what happened, why they said it was fixed. I don't think they were lying. I think while they had the doors open and they were replacing that servo, which is on the driver's side, super accessible, the battery died. Oh, we left the door open too long. They put it on a jumper or overcharged this battery where it was fine momentarily. When they started, everything was fine. I'm like, oh, it's fine. That's it, it's fixed. Because now we have, so I'll give you a little bit of timeline where we're at with it. Why is it still here? And the gentleman's father is at a hotel. We did that yesterday, where we discovered the battery, put a battery. We actually jump-started yesterday. We drove it. It was perfectly fine. Today, we got the battery replaced. This is the second drive, and we're going to take it for a drive one more time. Everything works perfectly fine. And I think at this point, I'm going to drive it one more time tomorrow morning. Everything works. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Car is fixed. Didn't have to pull the dash or do none of that. Because it was, to me, it was surprising that a 2019 ES300 has gremlins like that. It's just, that's too early. Usually Lexus, you know, you get up in age, maybe a servo, an evaporator, whatnot, but not this early, 62,000 miles. Folks, diagnosis is very important. And sometimes when things don't make sense, because they don't make sense, that means you need to keep looking. And I get it. You can't be looking at a car for 2 days and charge the customer a initial diagnostic fee. Well, if you spent the hour, which is what we usually initially charge for diagnostic, you spent the whole hour, maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. We're finding some things, but we need to dig deeper. Charge the customer for the time, but get them in the loop. Hey, here's what I got. Here's what we're looking at. Here's what I need to do to investigate it further. I have to pull this apart. I have to tear half the dash apart to test things behind the scenes. We're not going to do that for free. I get it, but communicate that with the customer. Don't just throw a part and hope for the best, because that's all the car needed. Not 1,300, not 3,800. And it was, I'm glad we caught it, because this could have taken a long time. And eventually, wait a second, why is everything working all of a sudden? And when the car was completely dead this morning, that's the best part. So we left the car inside right here. You know, I ordered the battery, came in today. This morning I had a chance to replace it. Go to the car, it's like flickering lights, completely dead. Okay, well, let's replace the battery. And it's been fine ever since. So, folks, I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.